Slava Ukraine fanoners to another episode of So You Think You Can Fanon. I'm your host Sergio, and today I am here with Matt and Kai.
Hello.
Hello, Slava Ukraine.
We are the only podcast that has been sanctioned by Russia. Mr. Putin is not happy with us after last episode.
Yes, he's very unhappy that Zelensky got mad pussy. Meanwhile, Putin is stuck over there with gallons of Russian prostitutes just waiting outside the Kremlin to get paid by government cronies.
I thought you were going to say he had gout instead of gallons of prostitutes.
Yeah, have you seen his head? Like, unironically, not to get political or anything, Putin looks like a fucking marshmallow right now. I don't know what's wrong with that guy. Like, physically, I don't think he's right.
He's definitely not.
Oh man. Also, I wanted to make a statement about these episodes that we have been doing. And just so everybody is like on the right page of like why we are doing these episodes. Of course, we're doing these episodes because we want to obviously support the country that is currently being invaded right now by the no good mean man in the Kremlin. But also, we legitimately want to give these people like more of a voice and more of a reach, because obviously, as an SCP writer in Ukraine or a fanfic writer in Ukraine, you're very much limited by the language barrier. And even if there wasn't a war be going on, we actually legitimately want to showcase these people. And after the war is over and we're all at peacetime, you probably can expect us to come back to the Ukraine AO3 pages or the wikis to read more of their stories.
Hey, if Russia can throw away 30 years of goodwill in the span of 2 weeks, who's to say Ukraine can't gain at least half of that in the same span of time?
True.
None of you people out there who just like, you know, like if you're going like, yeah, we gotta support Ukraine now, I better not see you in a year from now going, what's a Ukraine? I was just supporting the thing that was going on at the time because I wanted to look like a good person.
Supporting mainstream thing. Speaking of supporting mainstream things, what are we reading today? It's something that we like to read a lot of. It is
Secure, Contain, Protect. And as you could probably figure out from the intro, we are reading from the Ukrainian branch of the wiki. Which one of us wants to go first?
Me. I want to go first.
Okay.
Oh boy.
And right. You had 32 UA?
Yes. 32 UA. Object class.
32 UA.
Safe.
I don't like that title.
The title for the listeners is Do Not Pull the Hamster. Special storage conditions. Given the properties of 32 UA, it should be stored at the place of detection in the laboratory auditorium until a safe way is found to move it to the nearest Foundation facility. The doors of the premises where the facility is located must be locked, access to which is prohibited to staff of the Institute and students. Officially, the premises were initially insulated due to scheduled repairs and later due to the arrangement of the warehouse. Agents of the Foundation, implemented in the management of the educational institution, must, under various pretexts, prevent access to the premises to visitors who are not appointed employees of the Foundation. Inside, there must be permanent video surveillance system broadcast in the observation rooms to the UA-80 zone, and armed guards who are obliged to stop any unauthorized contact with the object.
Can I just say, obviously, I don't speak the language. I'm just going off of what Google Translate gave me. But it's really funny, assuming that special storage conditions is not what it, like the special containment procedures, SCP. Mm-hmm. But Google Translate made it SSC. I just think that's kind of funny.
It works. It's good enough.
Yeah.
Following the incident 32UA33 incident, all security guards and technical staff of the educational institution where the facility is stored were completely replaced by fund operatives were recruited. I think that's meant to say Foundation operatives, but it's fund operatives.
Fund.
The personnel were provided with weapons necessary to ensure a red level of security. With the permission of the curator of the object and 3 other employees with the 4th level of access, the use of weapons with abnormal properties is allowed. Amnesia and false memories should be applied to civilian staff, management, and students as needed. Also, after this incident, at least 2 of the Foundation's staff must keep an eye on the entrance to 32UA's premises and keep outsiders, and a masked group of 4 operatives must be on duty on the street leading to the school building. Foundation. I don't know.
Foundation.
That's just kind of funny. No cases of interaction with the object are allowed. Experiments with him have been suspended indefinitely. In addition, the Creators of Legends, IOG, has a mission to find or eliminate or falsify any mention of 32UA outside of the Foundation. Finding the author of the note has an orange priority. Description: 32 is a mummified carcass of a common hamster. The Latin name is Cricetus cricetus L. It is located together with a sample of Carnosem, which is apparently a fertile soil rich in humus with a lighter lime layer beneath.
What the fuck?
And it's in temperate grasslands such as the Russian steppes and North American prairies. That's your lesson for the day. So it's located together with a sample of that kind of dirt in a typical glazed container of the Department of Soil Science at the Institute REDACTED in the city of Due to the high hazard posed by the facility, the exact coordinates of the facility are known only to members of the storage team working on site and to employees with tolerance levels of 4 and above. The container is 2.3 meters long and 0.5 meters wide. The container itself and the soil in it do not show abnormal properties. There is no part of the glass in front of the hamster carcass. Instead, there is a transparent film. The exact reasons for this could not be established. On the glass, next to 32, on the outside, attached a note in Russian. Do not pull, please, hamster. The ground sags. Otherwise known as please don't pull the hamster, the ground is settling. When you translate it again back into English, the author of the note could not be identified. Graphological tests of all the employees of the Institute redacted, and students gave a negative result. At the time of placing the object in storage, the note was damaged. The reasons for this are also being investigated. Abnormal properties of 32 are manifested when anyone touches it with their hand. From the first second of human interaction, hereinafter, and I'm not going to read the rest of that, with the object, soil subsidence begins. When you simply touch the object, the process takes place at a speed of 2 millimeters per minute, but is intensified if you press the hamster carcass, pull it, or try to move it. The range of the object is initially 400 meters. I can't read numbers. It increases every hour by 10 meters with a simple touch, but grows faster with the increasing strength and intensity of interaction. In this case, the Earth settles evenly, forming a cone-shaped funnel, and the epicenter of this phenomenon is the point where SCP-32 is located. SCP-32 does not experience discomfort, does not exhibit other specific reactions, and may, in its sole discretion, cease to interact with the object. It is considered unacceptable to remove an object from the container. 32 also exhibits its properties, albeit to a lesser extent when force is applied, not simply to it, but to the container. For example, if the exhibit is trying to move. After discovering the object, the Foundation staff managed to conduct 15 experiments of varying intensity, after which the foundation of the Institute Redacted O collapsed, and the supporting structures of the building were partially damaged. The Institute was closed for repairs, and experiments with the object were stopped. We do not know the maximum depth and range of the object. Computer mathematical modeling shows that a sharp, strong interaction with 32 can send the whole city underground and even affect the movement of lithosphere plates. The project has not been fully established, and it is not known at all whether there is a boundary. 32 proposes to assign the class Keter, the curator of the object, Dr. Andrew Restovich. Dr. Restovich's proposal is under consideration by management. Detection history. The object was discovered by a secret employee of the Foundation during correspondence in one of the group chats of the mobile application REDACTED. A student of the REDACTED something in Ukrainian that I can't read Institute told the hamster carcass and a note, which attracted the attention of the employee who passed the information to the management. Upon arrival, operatives confirmed the anomaly, and the fund began the storage procedure. And here is an incident log. During the alumni meeting day, what is that?
March 30th.
March 30th, 20-something. A group of 4 armed students tried to break into the facility and remove it from the container. After a small firefight in which one of the attackers was killed, 3 other subjects were detained. The interrogation of the detainees showed that they had something to do with the teachings of annihilation and tried to use the object to destroy the Earth. In addition, one of them said he knew the author of the note, after which he died for an unknown reason. The detainees also pointed to, I don't know what that is, mentions of the object on various internet resources. Attempts to obtain any other useful information from the detainees were unsuccessful. The 2 other detainees were treated with amnesia and transferred to D-class staff. Security conditions have been strengthened.
Well, that's definitely a weird entry.
Yes. I just thought that the do not pull the hamster is just really interesting.
Do not pull the hamster is the definition of intimidating.
Yes.
And for good reason.
Do not pull the hamster.
Apparently it can control soil and then maybe destroy the Earth.
We may never know.
Unless you pull the hamster.
Don't pull the hamster.
Or as the Russians would say, do not pull, please, hamster, the ground sags.
This is definitely an interesting one, because it kind of starts off as just being like a benign joke, like, oh, haha. Like, it's like, oh yeah, it'll just, like, you know, mess with the soil around the... And then you quickly realize what that would do with, like, the Institute falling into the ground, and then it would sink everything into the ground if it took over the entire Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I feel like if this was an American SCP, it would be a literal hamster.
Probably.
Like an alive one.
Probably.
Yes, if you pull on the literal alive hamster's tail, it will destroy the entire universe. But I was gonna say, I think a lot of the, like, appeal to me of this SCP is that, like, it's just so, like, mysterious. Like, why does this random hamster carcass have this ability? And, like, why has it not decayed at all?
It's definitely a little sus.
Yeah, it's weird.
I guess that's what makes it anomalous.
Sense.
Yes, but I don't know. It's just interesting to think about.
There's something a little beyond anomalous about it. I don't know how to put it.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Fucked. It's fucked is what it is.
One step above anomalous is fucked.
Yes, very.
Speaking of fucked, Matt, would you like to present your object?
Oh, I would love to.
I almost did this one. Not gonna lie.
SCP-078-UA. Homocarta Rex Animalium. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Conditions. 3 individuals of SCP-078-UA must be kept in a storage room of at least 12 square meters, decorated for any office space. The floor of the cell should be covered with ceramic tiles to facilitate its cleaning from the natural secretions of detained individuals. The diet of the SCP is a triple standard ration of a Class D employee, each day corresponding to the Wednesday option. A cooler with plastic cups should be placed in the chamber to provide individuals with water. Every day at 1900 hours, the chamber should be cleaned, during which the SCP should be taken unconscious, stunned, or asleep to the shower room and cleaned with a jet of water. Direct contact with the individuals of the SCP in consciousness is prohibited due to the threat of attack. Hands and feet should be tied during transportation, and a muzzle is to be worn on the face. In free time from experiments, individuals of the SCP should be provided with access to personal computers with the installed Office software package. Devices must work independently of the general network and can be connected only to the computer on duty at the facility. The SCP should be provided at all times with clerical documents devoid of obvious informational value within the Foundation. For example, publicly available company balance sheets, printouts of various statistical collections with deleted information on research objects, etc. The administrator of SCP-078-UA storage room network on duty must, among other things, generate various nonsensical but time-consuming tasks on computers of various kinds, whose purpose is to employ the SCP and prevent them from starting beehive construction and reproduction. The prospect of using the SCP for the Foundation's application purposes is currently under consideration. Bots of the Foundation should constantly monitor forums and work chats in messengers to detect reports of offices with poltergeists, stealing food, paper, and hacking into other people's personal computers. If you find any videos with the object, they should be deleted immediately. If the SCP is found to be outside the Foundation's maintenance, agents should, depending upon the circumstances, either destroy and dispose of it on site, or immobilize and deliver it to the Foundation's nearest, properly equipped facility for control sampling and disposal. In any case, a full inspection of the affected building office for hives SCP-078-UA and their destruction should be provided as soon as possible. SCP-078-UA is a species of abnormally modified humanoid based on Homo sapiens sapiens, currently recorded only in the Kyoto Prefecture of Japan. Genetic analysis has shown that the main source material for it was the job seeker's Tagomi Insurance Corporation, who under various circumstances went missing in redacted year. Donors of materials for additional organs and flesh could not be identified. At first glance, the SCP looks like a person sitting in an ordinary office chair. However, upon closer inspection, the chair is the only biological organism with the subject without any inclusions of inorganic materials. Back of the chair is a hump covered with dense hair, except for a small circle in the middle with a tattooed Roman numeral showing 23. That allows it to be confused with a synthetic upholstery of office furniture. An autopsy of the SCP revealed that an additional sternum and ribs were located below the outer part of the hump, forming a secondary thorax behind the SCP. Unlike the main one, the space inside it is filled not with internal organs, but with fatty tissues, which the SCP is not depositing in the abdominal wall. Apparently, the rear rib cage was added by the creators of the object for decorative purposes, to provide stability to fat deposits and give a motionless hump the look of the back of an office chair. The SCP's spine does not end in the hip, but continues lower, almost to the floor. The supplemented part is formed by 2 lumbar vertebrae from unknown donors. This fragment of the skeleton is approximately 38 centimeters long. The vertebrae themselves are approximately 1.2 times larger than the vertebrae of the main donor, making the SCP base particularly stable. The leather around the base is black, which makes it look like a gas cartridge of an ordinary office chair. Additional lumbar vertebrae terminate in a modified sacrum, probably broken and reunited in a horizontal plane using inclusions of bone material from other parts of the skeleton. There are 5 radially arranged chair legs, which are attached to the modified sacrum, each of which is formed by 3 children's tibias, connected by joints and provided with a powerful muscular apparatus. Each chair leg ends with a bone, polished to the shape of an almost perfect ball, which could be done both for decorative matching of the wheel of an office chair and to give further support stability. Under the lower part of the heel bone are powerful organic suckers, almost invisible to the naked eye. At rest, the 5 legs of the chair do not look different from those of office furniture. However, this part of the body performs not only a supporting function, but a motor function. If necessary, the SCP can begin moving up to by moving 5 3-membered legs like arachnids. Thus, individuals can develop speeds of up to 3 kilometers an hour, and hidden suction cups allow them to use the surfaces of walls and ceilings to move. In addition, the SCP has 2 abnormal human legs hanging from a chair whose muscles are completely atrophied and unable to perform motor functions. The gluteal muscles of the SCP are extremely hypertrophied and fused together, resembling the appearance of a chair seat. The even distribution of mass between the inactive legs and the humpback allows the species to maintain balance by placing the center of gravity in the sacrum. The SCP has 2 abnormal human legs hanging from a chair whose muscles are completely atrophied. They copied and pasted that. What the fuck? It's like it copied and pasted twice. Let's see here. Okay, the rest of that paragraph is all the same stuff. The intestine of the SCP is integrated with the urinary system and is excreted to the anus. Hidden in the lower part of the humpback. In all other respects, the arrangement of the internal organs of the species corresponds to that of a common person. Genitals are completely absent. The circulatory and nervous systems of the SCP and its abnormal appendages are fully functional. The hands of the individual do not contain traces of any interference except for the fingers, which, besides the thumb, contain 1 more phalanx than usual. White men's shirts with ties and sometimes classic jackets are attached to the torso of the individuals. Clothing consists of normal, non-abnormal tissue, but cannot be structurally separated from the SCP without separating part of their epidermis. To facilitate experiments in individuals dependent on the foundation, the SCP does not contain... Oh, I guess that sentence just ends. The SCP does not contain physiological abnormalities. A series of behavioral tests revealed that the level of intelligence of individuals of the SCP roughly corresponds to that of a higher primate. However, this does not prevent the SCP from performing routine office work of medium complexity, which usually requires special knowledge and intelligence that is an order of magnitude higher than that recorded in standardized testing. The SCP is capable of limited verbal communication. The degree of perception of human language by them is minimal. Individuals are only able to intuitively answer questions in 1-syllable phrases, probably genetically embedded in them. Yes, no, I'll work. Yes, of course. No, thank you. Do not be distracted. Good afternoon. Good. Yes, etc. Coupled with the external mimicry, this allows the SCP, with a high degree of reliability, to mimic the behavior of an ordinary office worker who performs his or her day-to-day functions. In addition, the object is probably aware of its anomaly and the need to hide from outsiders its true nature. The SCP is capable of recognizing video surveillance systems and moving in their dead zone on the ceilings or walls. Being in a free state and in the absence of the threat of exposure, the SCP searches for and occupies a favorite office workplace and then proceeds to perform any clerical work that it discovers. In the case of outsiders, the individual may continue to pretend to be an office worker if he or she deems the threat insufficient. But the SCP usually flees and hides deep in the technical premises of office buildings, where it can stay for a very long time, sometimes days or weeks, feeding on pigeons or rats, and drinking water from fire hydrants or condensate from heating pipes. Ah, that's fucked. Just crunching on the pigeons, sucking the pipes. I hate that.
That's what you find fucked from this?
I know what happens with pipes. That's why it's fucked up. Because I know the pipes that it's sucking off of are like glycol-infused water or ammonia, and it's just sucking the condensate. It's probably not getting contaminated with what's in the pipes, but that's just fucked.
Yummy.
This whole thing is fucked. This makes me uncomfortable.
So that's why I didn't pick it. But then I'm glad that you picked it because it's so fucked up.
At night, if the office is empty, the individual can come out of hiding again and go in search of food in the office kitchen or refrigerator. No, don't touch the food in the fridge. After the meal, the SCP takes up its job again and continues to work. In the case of outsiders, the individual may continue to pretend to be an office worker or... No, okay. It's the exact same thing. Copy paste it again. Although the SCP avoids direct contact with humans in every circumstance, in this situation, SCP will continue to do so as if nothing had happened. However, in the case of exposure, having no other way out, it will attack a person using improvised means, stationary knives, pencils, scissors, with intent to kill. To conceal its traces, the SCP may partially eat the victim's body and hide unfitting remains. Dirt and or blood-contaminated clothing on the SCP will be cleaned to the best of its ability, including using chemistry found in pantries. Individuals deprived of tasks during work hours begin to build a hive. To do this, the SCP steals office paper or newspapers early at night and, wetting them with its saliva mixed with an unknown organic secretion, uses papier-mâché-like building material. In the case of a long stay in a single office, individuals are able to cover large volumes of technical premises with their paper material, preparing a spacious hive with many confusing manholes. Once they have tasted human flesh, individuals begin to eat it periodically. It is likely that the SCP may begin to produce offspring after the human flesh is absorbed. The Foundation has never been able to reproduce or record this process in the lab, however. According to the common version of the story, reproduction of individuals is possible only in quiet conditions, within the hive. The growth rate of the SCP, the physiological characteristics of its cubs, and the method of reproduction are completely unknown. After establishing a covert surveillance of one of the exposed hives, individuals stopped construction and looked for a new place to live. Detection history. The first reports of monster people were received from Kyoto police. During a night operation to evacuate a business district in connection with a report of a mine, a police detachment entered the Tagomi Insurance Corporation building, on one floor of which a light was on late at night. Going inside and going up to the floor, the staff found, according to various sources, from 10 to 13 office workers who were engaged in their business. When asked to leave the building immediately due to the threat of mines, the workers responded in unison and without regard. Suspecting them to be mentally ill, one of the police officers tried to force one of the workers out of his chair and, realizing the abnormal nature of the person, raised an alarm. The SCP responded to the cries of the police officer with an immediate unmasking, during which some attacked the police with improvised means, and others moving along the walls and ceilings, quickly leaving the room. 3 police officers were killed in the incident, 2 individuals of the SCP were shot dead, and others disappeared to an unknown location. To date, 7 Foundation hives SCP-078-UA have been found in various parts of the Kyoto prefecture by staff and ordinary citizens, some of which have found offspring. Witnesses and victims of the facility were treated with amnesiacs. The hives, to ensure the destruction of cubs of the SCP, were burned along with the buildings in which they were located, with the exception of the headquarters at Tagomi Insurance Corporation and the tower REDACTED, in which toxic substances were sprayed during non-working hours. The investigation found that the DNA of all major donors of identified individuals corresponded to the DNA of missing applicants, each of whom sent his questionnaire to Tagomi Insurance Corporation. Following the discovery of the SCP in the Kyoto division of Tagomi Insurance Corporation and the start of the search, the chairman of the supervisory board of Hateshi Tagomi fled. The subject is on the international wanted list on charges of financing the manufacture of an anomalous object in connection with the meat circus. If Hiteshi Togomi is detained, he is subject to questioning and further transferred to the courts of the Global Occult Coalition in accordance with the provisions of Section 5.9 of Annex 2 of the UN Secret Convention number 76. This is fucked. This is so fucked.
Yes. This is very fucked, yes.
It's like you're bringing out the titty monster all over again.
This is almost worse than no, this isn't worse than the titty monster. What am I kidding? The titty monster is the worst one we've ever done.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to point out that unless Meat Circus is a mistranslation, I think this is we've stumbled upon a new GOI group of interest here. Actually, wait. Yes, that is correct. Because I just found SCP-4642 of the American Wiki. Yeah, GOI 192, translated as the Meat Circus.
Oh,
nice.
They do actually appear there are American SCPs with that GOI, but it looks like it's a Russian creation.
Interesting.
Odd.
Shall we read the appendix?
Sure. I'll let you two be subscriber 1 and 2. Sergio is 1. Kai is 2.
Okay.
Gotcha. So first we should probably read Appendix 1, transcript of a recording of a telephone conversation found in the open apartment of the Meat Circus. Good afternoon. I was given your business card and told that you could make something special.
What is written on the business card?
23.
Mr. Togomi?
Please, no names.
This is a secure line. I have received your wishes. Have you already picked up the blanks?
Yes, of course. First-class samples perfectly reflect my idea. That's why I had to go through for so long. I personally selected the candidates. I will send you the list by mail.
Fine. I understand the technical specifications of the project, but I also need to know the purpose of production of products and how to use them.
I thought my fee would be more than enough.
Togomi-san, I'm not asking this out of sheer curiosity. To fully immerse myself in the creative process, not to mention the maximum compliance with your expectations, I need to fully understand your idea.
This is not even an idea, but rather a philosophy.
How is he?
So, as an anatomist, you are probably familiar with the evolution of man. I've been long interested in this topic. I've read many books in scientific works by famous authors, but recently, fate brought me together with a Nobel Prize laureate deleted. The connection with the Meat Circus or the anomalous world in general cannot be established with this person. He told me about the work of his students, modeling the man of the future, enlargement of the auricles due to increased noise pollution, changes in the structure of the nose due to air pollution, elongation of the fingers, and changes in the shape of the palms are not seen anywhere, etc., etc. But cars are getting quieter, emissions are being reduced, green energy has become the flagship of scientific thought. And what, if any, will be smartphones and computers? Unfortunately or fortunately, our world has become too changeable. It is extremely difficult to predict the anatomical structure of man for any length of time. One thing is clear, gloomy predictions are not coming true. Humanity is confidently moving forward. That's why I came up with this idea, to capture a modern man before he disappeared, and taking a step into the future, where he was again destined to become great, to leave descendants this little.
And of course, use it for even greater personal enrichment.
Ha! Don't laugh. Togomi Corporation will not gild a dozen office idlers, and for the money I pay you I can hire hundreds of such workers, and you know what? They will be no different from these products, the same insignificant, naughty, grown-up idiots, unable to do at least something right. Why not replace them in at least one department with biorobots?
Calm down, Togomi-san. I was just kidding.
I understand. It's just that when I walk through an open space, I look at their empty faces. Sometimes they are precautionary. Sometimes they even pretend to be asleep at work. I must like it so much that they work so hard and selflessly. What pathetic nonsense. A long period of silence, which only heavy breathing can be heard in the handset. Is Nevazayu. Will you help me or not?
Let's help, Togomi-san. I think I understand your idea. We will wait for advance tomorrow morning. Send the list of blanks by email. Goodbye, Mr. Togomi. Interesting.
Very interesting. I never, I didn't get that they were, like, manufactured, like, wagey cagey, organisms.
The chair wages. Yeah, that's an apt way to put it, I guess.
Yeah.
This is a fucked one, though.
What does the SCP title translate to?
I don't know what Charta means, but Homo is obviously man. Rex is king of the animals,
Probably
so
chair.
Google Translate gave me paper man is the king of the animals, which makes sense.
Oh, Charta means map.
Oh, chart. Fuck.
Or paper. It can also mean paper, but I think it specifically refers to like a map or a chart. But I got the other stuff.
Good.
Yeah, this one was. I almost picked this one.
This one is just fucked.
It was way too fucked.
It's so fucked. I love how fucked it is, though.
This one is also like, I don't know. I feel like this is not even beyond anomalous, and not even, well, it's beyond fucked and anomalous at this point. Like, this is just like, I don't know.
This is like Code Red fucked. It's just just not okay.
Speaking of fucked, it's time for mine.
Yes.
SCP-71-UA Potroshenko, and this is written in all caps. Object number 71-UA. Object class heater. Special containment conditions. One carrier of the object should be stored in a shielded, water and fire-resistant container, located at a distance of at least 1 meter from any information carriers and radio or telecommunication networks, and should be transported only in compliance with these requirements. Any access to the object is only allowed in rooms completely enclosed in a multi-layer, at least 5 layers, combined Faraday screen of magnetic and non-magnetic metal sheets. If new media objects are formed as a result of the experiments, they must be destroyed immediately upon completion of the experiment. All media of the object found outside the storage of the fund must be destroyed at the place of discovery by any available means. In the case of SCP-71-UA broadcasting on a national or local television, broadcast must be stopped immediately, and the contra spam may be sent to the telecommunication facilities through which it was transmitted to identify and destroy the source of the infection and affected media. Misinformation protocols, technical problems, power failure, diversion, prank. Description. 71-UA is an anomalous phenomenon that affects live broadcasts and recordings of political talk shows on Ukrainian television channels, as well as recordings of these broadcasts made on any media. It is currently unknown on what principle the anomaly determines the object of damage. The change of owners, branding, place of registration, and telecommunication capacity of the channels did not affect the manifestation of its effect. It was first recorded on February 27, 2020, after the mass receipt of reports from the city of Kryvyi Rih, Dnipropetrovsk region to the National Police of Ukraine about the attack, redacted, to the studio channel 1+1. A popular national private TV channel located in Kyiv, which was live. The Foundation's monitors, who tried to verify this information as part of standard procedure, recorded the expected broadcast of the talk show Right to Power without any signs of violence or anomalies. A parallel police visit to the studio confirmed the results of the monitoring. By interviewing the callers and further technical verification, the anomalous signal was triangulated to the tower of Kryvyi Rih RTPS DFK RRT. Detectives who arrived on the scene found the body of the transmitter station operator hanging upside down in the room. His throat was cut and drained. Blood was inscribed along the control TV screens. Cry for the near day of the Lord. He will come from the Almighty as destruction. Apparently, no foreign devices or objects were found in the room, so it was sealed for further analysis, and mobile equipment and media were confiscated for an in-depth study. The internet was cleared of events by standard software, and the memory of citizens was massively modified by broadcasting a targeted memo agent. Side effects have been publicly attributed to the negative impact on the psyche of long-term quarantine measures, although due to the ignorance of the anomalous properties of the object, part of the media archive of the UA-21 zone was damaged. This allowed us to quickly determine the basic anomalous properties of the object and develop primary storage conditions. The main danger of the phenomenon is its extreme transmissibility. Any media within a radius of 40 to 90 centimeters from the media affected by a 71 UA or a device that shows the affected signal or recording gradually turn into SCP media. 71 UA. The process can take 10 to 20 minutes depending on the distance of the source of 71 UA. In addition, the object affects the equipment capable of generating television and radio signals, infecting the latter and spreading over the entire radius of its effective action. The available research results suggest that the main way of transmitting anomalies between carriers is electromagnetic radiation. The affected objects are easy to identify due to their high electromagnetic radiation. However, no anomalies in the radiation itself has yet been identified. The radiation leads to gradual degradation of media, but does not affect the ability to infect even after the complete destruction of data. Static images of SCP-71-UA do not show abnormal properties. 71-UA can also be identified visually while watching an infected broadcast or recording, the moment of infection, or within 10 minutes from the beginning of the already infected recording. A creature identical in appearance appears its back to the camera. Redacted. Herein referred to as 71-UA-1. Clothing SCP-71-UA-1 may vary between manifestations and conditions of the talk show, but the most common is a black business suit, too, in combination with a white shirt and red tie or without it. In the right hand, 71-UA-1, there's always a metal knife of unknown brand. Those present on the recording broadcast of the talk show are aware of the appearance of 71-UA-1 and its abnormal nature, reacting extremely anxiously. As soon as it appears, -1 begins its speech, ignoring its surroundings and events. After saying a few sentences, -1 approached the participants and began killing them, consistently and brutally, showing an abnormal level of strength while maintaining a neutral expression and continuing his speech. In pursuing its victims, -1 never runs away, but instead drives them into a corner. All entrances and exits to the talk show premises in which the participants of the event try to use are closed. If the event takes place in the open air, data expunged. After killing everyone present, -1 slowly approached the cell. Only the blood-soaked space with the bodies of the slain, which decompose according to the total viewing time, is shown over and over again. -1, while syntactically correct, is usually incoherent in content, being a set of loose or unrelated phrases, metaphors, allegories, and quotations from religious and mystical texts. Although in some cases, researchers have been able to establish a link between the content of 71-UA-1, speeches and events that took place at the same time or even in the future. The general level of obscurity of his speeches does not allow for any effective use of the object as a prognostic tool. In this regard, as well as taking into account the psychological effect of seeds of violence, conducting additional experiments with the object as aimed at improving the effectiveness of its containment is not recommended. Addition. Transcript of the affected recording of the issue of the talk show Right to Power, dated February 27th, 2020. Let's see here. Who would like to be... Matt, would you like to play -1?
Sure.
All right. Note, the transcript of the original event, 71-UA, could not be recorded due to abnormal properties of the object. The following is a transcript of the reproduction of the effective recording of the transmission played on March 8th, 2020. Talk show starts as usual. The presenter, Natalia Mozychuk, represents the participants. I'm not going to read all those names. One of them is participating remotely. Footage of protests in the town of Novi Sanjari, Poltava district, Poltava region, is on display. The first cases of public unrest during an attempt by the national government to quarantine Chinese citizens evacuated from Wuhan, Hubei province, China. The first cases of COVID-19 in Western Europe have been reported. Wow, that's that's hitting close to home.
Oof.
Damn.
6 minutes, 30 seconds. The floor is given to Zoriana Skaletskaya as she talks about Ukraine's readiness for the COVID-19 epidemic. The performance is accompanied by interference. The video is intermittent, and interruptions with sound are recorded. 9 minutes, 10 seconds. Mozychuk stops Skaletska to mend the connection and gives the floor to Liashko. 9:14. As soon as the image switches to the camera in the hall, -1 appears behind Mozychuk. She doesn't notice him. In contrast, talk show participants observe the appearance of -1 with wide eyes. When someone in the audience shouts, the presenter turns and pulls away from -1, leaning against his rostrum. 9:20.
Dear compatriots, from Lviv to Donetsk, from Cherniv to Sevastopol.
-1 approaches Mozychuk and looks her in the eye.
We Ukrainians are a life-giving flame, a fire that will burn from the body of murdered Europe.
Dash 1 puts her left hand on Moseychuk's shoulder and stabs her in the lower abdomen. Moseychuk shouts.
And from which it will rise again, in the radiance of its original greatness.
9:45. Dash 1 raises a knife sharply along the body of its victim. When it passes through the chest, you can hear the crunch of bones. Moseychuk's torn body falls to the floor, flooding it with blood. 9:48. Dash 1.
That's what Franco said.
9:50. While the audience and participants recover from what they saw, Avakov runs up to Dash 1 and tries to snatch a knife from his hands. Dash 1 easily overpowers him by breaking the minister's arm. The screen shows a naked bone sticking out. 9:58. Dash 1.
I see the blinding radiance of the black sun in our peaceful sky. The prominences tear the vortex to pieces, and the earth itself will soon move from its place. But not from the fury of the host. Who is the source of power in Ukraine?
10:15. Dash 1 takes Avakov's face in his hands and forcibly thrusts his thumbs into his pupil. Proteins run down the latter's face along with the blood. He moans and falls silent. 10:19.
People!
10:21. Despite the deteriorating image quality, people are beginning to run away in panic, but Dash 1 is gradually catching up and killing them. Limited to a short knife blow to the neck for a talk show audience and security guards trying to stop it. Dash 1 consistently sets it apart from the crowd. The speech continues through sound interference. 10:21.
All Ukrainian referendum, an instrument established by the Constitution of Ukraine to address the most important and fundamental issues. Nobly, perhaps. However, a conscious Ukrainian first of all should ask himself, Que bono? Mono-majority and unification, a previously unheard of force. Merger in ecstasy. One. Broken but not the one. The luminary hidden outside consciousness screams and calls. Why are there so few chosen ones?
12:04. The sound becomes unintelligible. Dash 1 is seen driving Tienhausen into a corner. The impact of the knife handle Dash 1 breaks Teisenhausen's skull. When he falls, Dash 1 makes several incisions around his shoulders and forcibly pulls out his humerus. 15:28. The image finally degrades to the next 613 seconds. 25:41. Sound and images are restored. The camera broadcasts Dash 1 standing in the middle of the stage, holding a pair of torn eyeballs, which he shows to the camera. The chair behind him with a bloody face, breathing hard, sits Alexei Danilov. At his feet lies the severed face of Vladimir Goryansky, his body still not visible.
Damn, this is getting pretty modern political. Putin
25:42.
Putin is trying to convince the international community that Ukraine is in a civil war. What then do I hold in my hands if not evidence of Russian aggression? Alagata will be deserted.
Dash 1's voice suddenly becomes cheerful, but his expression, as usual, does not change.
Arseny Petrovich, do you know what is under the floor we're standing on? 12. Where is another one?
Dash 1 lowers his eyes. Voice becomes calm.
My pen is already in my hands, and as soon as the EU makes a decision, the signature of the Ukrainian president will instantly appear under this fateful document. I guarantee you this, just as I guarantee that the brightest day will always be night in the sky. Millions of stars fly over us. You, me, Komorowski. We counted them together when we stood in the middle of the open mouth of a lion. You remember, are you eating? And all this is too reminiscent of trying to throw blindfolds at us. Does not matter importantly. People are not likely to believe.
Dash 1 leaves the stage and slowly follows the fire exit. The camera changes. Olga Golubovska curled up among the corpses near the closed door, which shows traces of bloody scratches. Next to her, the decapitated bodies of Viktor Lyashko and Yuri Zhigarev. The cervical stumps are attached to each other. The remains of crushed heads lie side by side. They show dark footprints from shoes. Dash 1.
Never give up. Never, never, never. Do not give in to the big, Do not give in to the small, neither in the insignificant nor in the small. When you meet a dog, stroke it along the fur and marvel at this world like a child. The fact is that the secret to our happiness is very simple. Wheat bread on the table, a handful of salt in the ashtray, and a bluish corpse, which is already a little swollen, but not yet juicy. The brawler has already taken the knife and is waiting to be stabbed, but not yet. And it is my main duty as the guarantor of our bloody constitution to ensure the consistent implementation of the ancestral plan.
At this point, -1 grabs Golubovska and lifts her left hand by the hair. But redacted, please! -1 rips out Golubov's trachea and throws the participant back to the ground, silently watching her gurgle and die. -1.
This is my peace plan for Donbass and the whole country. I will punish the world for evil and the wicked for their iniquity. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, and a mortal man more than the gold of Ophir. Only a quarter of you deserve salvation, but my mercy is still boundless. I extend to you my open arms, not to steal, but to lead. Accept them. Bow your bare head. Say about yourself, What the hell? Thaumaturgical
I think that's supposed to be I think that's supposed to be thaumaturgical threat removed.
Oh, thaumaturgical threat removed. Now, your souls are warmer, and they themselves are burning with sacred fire. From this moment, the enemy is already powerless against you. Leave the fear, but go and take what is due in law and in the Holy Spirit. Amen. This seems like it's really political, but it's going way over our heads. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I get the feeling that this guy is supposed to be someone, but I don't know who.
It's probably supposed to be someone. This is all going way over our heads. I feel like we've pissed off half of our Ukrainian audience now by reading this, but I have no idea. I literally have no idea who any of these people are or what any of them did.
Also, footnote on the enemy. It says those present at the demonstration of the recording insisted on capitalization, but they could not explain it. Last entry. -1 approaches the camera until it completely obscures it with its body and disappears. The image switches to the general plan. The whole hall is littered with the dead and covered in blood. Eugene Perelgin and Igor Golubak can be seen on the western and eastern walls, respectively. They were crucified with fragments of Tietenhausen's bones, of which only a torn pile of meat remained. Legs and arms are additionally fixed in place by their own intestines, extracted from the distended abdomen. The plan and content of the video remain the same during all subsequent screenings, except for rot, which gradually affects the corpses. This reminds me a lot of, Ronald Reagan cut up whilst talking.
Yes.
This does remind me a lot of that, actually.
I was about to say that, but I couldn't remember what it was called, so it would have just been me flailing around and being like, the president, the crazy
guy.
And then you'd be like, okay, there's a lot of those. And I'd be like, okay, you're right.
This was an interesting one. I have no idea what anything we just read means, though, as far as political implications.
I went to the discussion page to see if I could figure it out, and somebody said this man must be sent to fight the jellyfish, which is a Russian SCP about... it's basically another thing that's like Reagan cut up whilst talking, where it's a videotape. And then somebody said it's already busy there, and posted a picture of what appears to be a Ukrainian politician's Facebook post at New Vegas. Because this dude's name is in Ukrainian, I can't decipher what his name is supposed to be, but maybe he is 71. I don't know.
Interesting.
This is definitely
very political.
Very much with the culture of the country involved. And I think all three of these, I think, were very interesting, and I think they were very different from American SCPs that I've read.
For sure.
I think so. I think they were. Although, no, I think 78 is definitely something that could have just been a normal American SCP.
I don't know. It just feels like it goes like more in depth than an American SCP would.
That's true.
There would be a lot more redacteds, I feel.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't even tell you the name of the company if it was an American SCP.
True.
Redacted it was a Japanese company.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like some American SCP authors. What?
Oh?
The 71 SCP is named Potroshenko. I think it's referring to I figured out who this guy is. Petro Poroshenko, a Ukrainian businessman and politician who served as the 5th president of Ukraine from 2014 to 2019. The guy before Zelensky.
Okay.
Definitely super political then.
Chocolate King.
Let's see here. As a candidate for a second term in 2019, Poroshenko obtained 24.5% in the second round, being defeated by Volodymyr Zelensky. While there's no true consensus in the expert community on why he lost, opinions ranging from opposition to intensifying nationalism, failure to stem corruption, dissatisfaction of overlooked Russian-speaking regions within his presidency, to dissatisfaction with Poroshenko's intense conflicts with other pro-Western politicians. Yeah, I guess I can see why just skimming through this Wikipedia page why the person writing this would have an issue with this guy.
So we're not going to get canceled?
Does not look like it, especially since he got ass blasted in the election. I don't think too many people are going to be sad that this guy got he didn't that he got made fun of, I guess. Because for people. Foreign people. Because let's see, Zelensky beat him 73-24. That doesn't happen in America. That almost never happens. Popular vote 73-24.
Aside from literally the first election ever in U.S. history, that has never happened. Ever.
Yeah, they're usually close.
Ever. Does not go that way.
The last curb stomp was Reagan versus Dukakis, I believe.
Yeah, that was the last real. Well, no, Reagan versus Carter.
But Dukakis was after, and that was a curb stomp.
Oh, his re-election, you mean?
Yeah, his re-election.
Wasn't that Goldwater?
Or no, Dukakis was against Bush, the President Bush.
Walter Mondale, that's who it was against.
Mondale, yeah, that's who.
Yeah, and it was not quite as much of a popular vote discrepancy as the Ukrainian one was, but no, Reagan's re-election is the biggest landslide in modern American history. He got 59% of the vote. His opponent got 41%.
Oh my gosh.
Reagan also had every single U.S. state except for Minnesota. Every state except for Minnesota. So he won 525 electoral votes to 13. The only other thing that Walter Mondale got was the District of Columbia, D.C. And there's a joke about it, actually. Ronald Reagan said, when asked what he wanted for his birthday, I want Minnesota and the District of Columbia. Because those were literally the only two places left in the country that he didn't get for the election.
1972, Nixon versus George McGovern.
Yes, that was a bigger election landslide. That's right, that was a bigger election landslide, popular vote-wise, at least.
Yeah. Also, Lyndon B. Johnson versus Goldwater was 61-38.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to LBJ.
60 to about 40 is the most it ever gets here. 70 to like 20s or 30, that's insane. That's really
crazy.
Hard to even begin to think about. That's so much.
But enough about analyzing political elections. Does anyone have any comments?
I don't. Nope.
These were really good. That's my comment.
That's a pretty fair comment.
Yeah, these were really good.
Mm-hmm.
I especially like 78. Just because it was so fucked up and descriptive.
I think I'll put 78 in one of my favorites.
Yeah, same.
Nice.
Maybe not certified hood classic, but definitely A tier.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
And with that, if nobody else has anything to say, I do have something to add. Make sure you check the links in the description if you're looking to donate. to any charities to help the current war effort, assuming that there isn't a ceasefire or anything called before this episode goes up. Also, Ukrainian SCP content creator Corgo is in need of help, and I will post her GoFundMe, or his GoFundMe, I think it's a girl, their GoFundMe in the description as well if you'd like to help them out. And with that, for everyone listening across the world, we love you.
We love you.
Love you.
Except for Putin. We don't love you.
We don't love you.